Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioner's Clubhouse on the LCC Network for week 25 of the Fantasy Off-Season. We have our special episode for you guys about the Off-Season Waiver Wire. It's going to be a blast. With me today, like always, I got Isaac and Jameson.
What's up?
What is up, guys?
I'm actually better today.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I'm actually better today. I can talk normal. I don't have a splitting headache like I did
Isaac
last
doesn't
night.
sound high.
Or last week, like if you guys are listening.
Yeah. So today, like Pat said, all we got is the waiver wire discussion. At the very end, we've got a short little press conference from Cam that we wanted to play on the show about his thoughts of what he may be doing on the waiver wire. We're gonna get to hear from him.
Boo.
We're gonna go through some players here. For the sake of time, we didn't talk about quarterbacks. There aren't any worth getting on the waiver wire unless you want to take a shot at like Joe Flacco or some other garbage.
Jimmy G.
What?
Jimmy G. So really, we're going to target running backs and then pass catchers, so receivers and or tight ends, defensive tackles and defensive ends, just because Isaac said he wants to give big guys love, and then linebackers and DBs.
That's what she said.
So
That's what she said.
so we're going to kind of breeze through some of the defensive tackle part, but the rest of it we're going to go in depth about. Kind of talk more.
No.
What?
We're gonna talk some in depth with these defensive ends.
I'm not. You guys can. I don't give a shit about the defensive ends. So we'll kind of dive into more. Some of these guys we've talked about all offseason long. Kind of dive into a little bit more of what our thoughts are on them. We're not going to agree on all of them, and that's completely okay. But you just think it would serve you guys well to hear what we think as we head toward the waiver wire. So, any thoughts before we jump in, guys, or can we just get right to it?
Let's do it.
I'm good.
All right, guys. So running backs, how do you guys want to do this? You want to like run through them and then go back and talk about some of them, or you kind of want to go through them as we go
Probably
down?
should have figured that out before the show.
We should have. We did highlight some guys we want to talk more about, and there's only 10 of them, maybe 11 of them here, so they won't take a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's list them off.
we're only
and then
2
we can
minutes into
talk
the
about-
show, so we can always redo.
Yeah. We'll list them. We'll run through them here to let you know who you should pay attention to. And then we'll kind of go back and kind of talk about more in depth. But so we've got Marlon Mack here. We have them listed here by how they scored points per game. Marlon Mack, 24.8 points per game last season. He's available in both conferences. Kerryon Johnson, 24.5 points a game last season. He's available in Elite 12, not in the top Shottas. Aaron Jones, 24.4 last season. He's not available in Elite 12, owned by Isaac. He is available in the top Shottas. Sony Michel, in his broken knee, 22.4 points a game last season, available in the Elite 12, not in the top Shottas. Lamar Miller, 22.2, available in both conferences. Tevin Coleman, 20.9, available in the Elite 12, owned by Matt, in the top Shottas. Jordan Howard, 20.1, available in both conferences. Mark Ingram, 19.9, available in the Elite 12, not in the top Shottas. And then Kenyon Drake, 19.6, and then Damian Williams, 11.1, both available in both conferences. So, guys, of these 11 running backs, where do you guys want to start? Who jumps out at you that you think we should talk about first?
Aaron Jones.
Aaron.
Okay, Aaron Jones. So what is it? So I think people are kind of forgotten about him. Green Bay didn't really utilize him well last year. He had a suspension. What is it that we like about him this season?
Well, I mean, one's the hype. I mean, everybody's hyping this man up like he's going to be a top 15, potential top 10 running back. I mean, I kept him as an 18th round pick. I assume somebody would get him in the waiver wire on the top Shottas. But, I mean, I'm kind of buying into the hype. New coach, new scheme. Maybe he'll know how to utilize a running back. It's kind of up in the air. We know Eddie Lacy did it a couple of years ago. Well, more than a couple of years ago, about 5 or so years ago. He had back-to-back seasons as a RB1 with Aaron Rodgers, so it can be done. But we'll see if he can stay healthy and how he'll do behind that offensive line is pretty good too.
So here's what I'll say about Aaron Jones real quick, and then Pat, you can jump in too. I think he's got a higher ceiling than some of these other guys. I think it's higher than Sony Michel. I think it's higher than Marlon Mack, just because he can catch the ball. He's in potentially explosive offense, but I don't think he's as safe. Just given we haven't seen that consistency, and it's not all his fault. We mentioned, play calling and the suspension and things like that. But I think it's that ceiling that people are kind of clamoring after right now. with Aaron Jones.
Yeah, he's a home run hitter. You either strike out or hit a home run. So far.
Yeah.
We don't know if he could be a on-base machine yet. For you baseball fans out there.
Ooh, no one likes baseball.
No, I mean,
Your mama.
hey, she really
Love me
does.
some
She's
baseball.
a big baseball fan.
She just likes my bat.
She-
Ooh, oh, God.
he's killing you right now. Yeah. So out of the 10 running backs we've got listed, I have Aaron Jones as probably the fourth best guy on this list of running backs we put up. I think he's definitely solid. He's the guy that in the top shotters you should definitely be looking at. You know, he had a great year last year. I felt like with a limited amount of times he got the ball and everything. But the thing is, man, we have only seen one out of since 2010, since our league started. Like Isaac said, Eddie Lacy is the only running back who's ever finished as an RB1 in our fantasy football league out of Green Bay. Everyone else has been an RB2 or worse. In fact, only one RB2. The rest out of their 8 running backs finishes an RB3 or worse. I mean, that's very significant. That's a big fact to take back. I get it. Whole different coach, whole different scenario. But let's not forget Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback there. I don't see them pounding the rock really. I think if you're going to get points from Aaron, or Aaron Jones, you're going to get it through the air, and that's where he's going to get you that little bit of love you're looking for in Green Bay.
I know you don't spend too much more time on him, but just run through some of the guys in Green Bay so the listeners know who were the running backs.
So I'll start off last year. I'm going to list the lead backs from 2018 to 2010 to give you an idea on where they finished. Aaron Jones, 2018, finished 25th among running backs. Jamal Williams in 2017 finished 30th. Christian Michael, listen to me, 2016 finished 32nd. In 2015, James Starks finished 23rd. 2014 and 2013, Eddie Lacy finished 6th. 2012, Randall Cobb, who is a receiver, was the lead back in Green Bay, finished 19th. Ryan Grant in 2011 is 35th. And 2010, Brandon Jackson finished 27th.
So my point of that is those are a bunch of nobodies. You know, and Aaron Jones is a lot better than those guys. So that's why I feel like
Brandon Jackson? Does anyone remember this guy?
He's got a ring.
I really do.
He's got a Super Bowl ring.
He's got a ring. That's right.
I guess.
Yeah. So Aaron Jones, and then a couple guys here, just for the sake of time, I think we can lump together guys that are in RBBCs: Tevin Coleman, Jordan Howard, and I'm going to throw Sony Michel in there, just because he's got the knee issue. Drafted a running back in the 3rd round. They've got Rex Burkhead back healthy. They've still got James White in the passing game. I think these 3 guys are some of the lower ones on our priority list. Do you guys agree? I mean, I know, Pat, you talked about your rankings before the show. Do you guys agree with that? Howard, Coleman, and Sony Michel kind of lower on that list compared to guys like Damian Williams, Kerryon Johnson, Marlon Mack?
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. Out of those 3 you listed, I like
Michel most.
I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, Michel's potential the most, but his knee has got me a little concerned, for sure.
Well, Tevin Coleman cannot be a workhorse, so I mean that's what I don't like about him.
I love that offense though in San Francisco.
Sony Michel had 7 catches the entire year last year. That's a huge dude. I've had more catches than that in backyard football games.
Don't lie. Dude, don't be lying to our listeners.
Tevin Coleman is a guy I'm actually a little bit more excited about. He finished 18th last year. I felt like I'm sorry, he could have finished there. Tevin Coleman is in a similar situation was in Atlanta, and that's not a bad situation, except I think we can all agree McKinnon is a little bit worse than Devontae Freeman. So I think Coleman is going to be the more featured back in that offense. But it does worry me that McKinnon's coming back healthy. Now we're going to kind of figure out who's going to be the lead out there.
And Matt Breida is still there. I mean, they could be running back 1A, 2, 1A, 1C. You know, it's ridiculously crowded. Real quickly, 2 more guys that I love a lot because of their pass catching potential. At least what we've been reading: Damian Williams and Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon Johnson I think he's primed for a lead role this year. He's pretty high on all of our lists. And, of course, Damian Williams is at least top 2, I think, in all of our lists, if not first for me and Isaac. He averaged 11.1.
You could put Drake in there too. Drake can catch passes.
Oh yeah. I love Kenyon Drake.
Oof.
Adam Gase is gone. Frank Gore is gone. Kenyon Drake caught 77 passes last year, even in that anemic offense. So he's primed for a big role too.
You guys already know, or at least James knows how I feel about Drake. I've got Drake up there as the number 3 back in this list of guys. I am super excited about this guy. Honestly, like James has said, 77 catches last year. I think he's going to have another like 70 plus catch type season. And to give you an idea, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be like Christian McCaffrey type PPR numbers, but I think he is going to be a solid guy to have. I think he's going to have a better year. It can only get better at this point. Their new head coach is very quarterback centered and defense and really controlling the clock. I think you're going to see Drake play a bigger role. And I think you're going to see him getting a lot of catches, even probably more than last year. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. I'm super, super excited though to kind of see where he is. And I really do think this is a make or break year for him. Miami's been waiting for this guy to truly explode, and he hasn't really done that. He's been kind of mediocre, in my opinion, and I think this is it. If he puts up another mediocre year, I could see them easily moving on or maybe even drafting a guy early next year.
So Frank Gore, real quick. Frank Gore had 156 carries last season. 56 carries vacated. Now, Kendrick won't get all those, obviously, but I think he's primed for a big year. Damian Williams averaged 28.6 points a game when he started. So from the last 5 games of the season, 28.6 points a game in the best offense in football. He's definitely worth a look early. And then, of course, we already talked about Kerryon Johnson. So,
Kenyon Drake was drafted in the 3rd round, so it's not like he was, truly expected to be like the guy. He was just more of a shot in the dark, 3rd down type back, but just he's showing he can do more. So, I mean, when you were saying like his make or break year, like I would kind of disagree with you on that. Just as far as, I mean, yes, he has to impress the new coach. And I mean, if the coach doesn't like him, then he's out. But I mean, for where he was drafted and his performances, I mean, it's very solid for a 3rd round pick.
Well, there you go. Well, we love all those guys.
Yeah.
Not all those guys. Most of those guys. You kind of have our thoughts on that. So be ready for that in the waiver wire. And I guess it's like early July, maybe when it hits, mid-July, early July, something like that. So,
yep,
we didn't know your information.
It's early July.
Early July, yeah. Well, when it feels weird saying that because we're recording this so early, but when this episode actually comes out, it's going to be really close to July.
Well, I can tell you right now, it's waiver wire July 5th.
Oh, yeah. So this will be like a week before then. So that's perfect. Moving on to receivers here. A lot of these guys are probably going to go in the waiver wire too. So a lot of these will also fall into the draft. We didn't mention all of them, of course, but of course, just the ones that we think are worth picking here. So we'll run through the list again and then go back and talk about them. So Julian Edelman, no surprise, 25 points a game, available in both conferences. Cooper Kupp, coming off the injury, 24.4 a game, available in both conferences. Tyler Boyd, 22.9 a game, available in both conferences. Alshon Jeffrey, 20.2 a game, available in both conferences. Tyler Lockett, 19 a game, available in both conferences. Landry, 18.8 behind Odell Beckham now, available in the Elite 12. Chris Godwin, 18.2 available in both conferences. Calvin Ridley, 18.1 available in both conferences. Mike Williams, you guys know I love him, 17.2 in both conferences. Sammy Watkins, 16.8 available in both conferences, super high ceiling. And then DJ Moore, 15 points a game last season, available in the top shotas. So, guys, let's go back to this list and let's find a receiver to kind of dig more into here.
All right, Pat, I went first on the last one, so you go first.
Yeah. Let me kick it off real quick. My top 3 guys in order from 1 to 3 is Cooper Kupp 1, Julian Edelman 2, and Sammy Watkins 3, despite the injury history. Man, I get it. Cooper Kupp has Robert Woods over there. They've got a loaded offense, and there's a lot to worry about. I totally get that, but this coach loves Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp is a guy that can come in this offense and explode from day one. We saw at the end of last year, dude. There are serious concerns with his knee. This offense is going to have to evolve in order to make his career last longer. They're going to have to throw the ball even more than they did last year, which is crazy to imagine what that kind of production would look like for their receivers. But dude, Cooper Kupp, I could see easily being like a low end wide receiver 1, high end wide receiver 2 this coming year.
I think that's pretty similar.
Bold statement.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be. I mean, he was averaging on pace for a 1 the first half of the season last year.
He was on track to finish 16. I did the math. He was on track to finish as the 16th best receiver, which I'll take.
But you know that you could be on place for something and then just
completely
just bottom out back at the end of the season. So I mean, it's not guaranteed that he would have finished.
But he was
there,
on track.
Yeah, I mean, he's very solid.
If he would have kept
great.
up with that average, he would have finished the 16th best receiver in the league. But of course, the injury happened. But again, super excited about Cooper Kupp.
I just feel like he's a solid wide receiver too. That's what he will be.
Yeah, I agree. And really because the reason you mentioned was having 2 other receivers there, 1A, 1B, 1C. That's why I would pick Edelman, but I love them both. Edelman was a maniac when he came back from the suspension last season, and now there's no one else there. I mean, we're not going to dive too much into him. We've talked about him. Sammy Watkins. Yeah, we've beat that dead horse. Sammy Watkins, we talked about that a little in the last episode. Tyreek Hill maybe being suspended. Sammy's got super high upside if he can stay healthy for 16 games. And if Tyreek
Hill he's only done that once,
which he hasn't done,
he's only done once in his career, and that was his rookie year in 2014.
Yep. So we love him. A couple guys here that we have pretty close to these 3, but kind of like the next tier down. DJ Moore and Chris Godwin. You guys already know DJ Moore was one of my breakout candidates early in the offseason. We did back in probably January or February. So I don't want to dive too much into that, especially being a Panthers fan. I don't want to I guess beat that horse again.
Jerk him off. Yeah.
but a lot of upside there. I'm really excited about what he can do with a reportedly healthy Cam. And then Chris Godwin, we've teased Cody about this throughout the offseason.
In your face.
I love Bruce Arians. I love what he can do for quarterbacks, which means I love what he's going to do for receivers. That's why I went and got Mike Evans. I think Chris Godwin can have a really good season right there alongside of Mike Evans as a solid number 2.
All right. Well, I just want to mention somebody that's kind of like lost in all this. Like we haven't talked about it at all. And it's Alshon Jeffrey. Man's been solid. Yes, he's had a couple injuries, but I mean, he's the number 1 guy in Philadelphia. And Carson Wentz is supposed to be fully healthy, and he loves Alshon Jeffrey and Zach Ertz. And Alshon Jeffrey is, just a touchdown machine. I mean, he's averaged, I think, 20 points a game for the past 2 seasons. But I don't know if I know he hasn't been able to finish both seasons fully healthy, though. So that's why I feel like he's kind of like a low wide receiver 2, high 3. That can kind of be like a flex guy or a bye week guy, but his booms will be booms.
It's good that you bring that up because he played 13 games last season. 7 of them, so more than half, were 13 points or below, while the other ones, 34 points, 44 points, 37 points, 29 points. He if he catches touchdowns, he's really good, all the way up to possibly a low 1. But when he has those bad games, they are atrocious, and they really do damage to your roster if you have to start him that week. But I think what you mentioned, him plugging him in on bye weeks and things, I think he's a great receiver for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but say if you can hit on his boom weeks, he's definitely worth putting in your starting lineup. But he's not a guy that you could just put in there and just leave there.
No,
like
nope.
The guys we've already talked about.
Nope. So another boom guy here that we haven't talked about hardly at all, I don't even know if we've mentioned his name much, is Calvin Ridley. So this guy is kind of the epitome of that. I think people felt that if they had him on their roster last year. He kind of broke out.
You could compare Tyler Lockett with him too. They're right there together.
Yeah,
both boom.
Yeah,
guys.
Lockett was super. I don't know if you guys have like dug much into him. He was hyper efficient. His touchdown to catch ratio was so high. And that's why I'm so down on him this year, is that he just can't possibly repeat that again. But Calvin Ridley,
I've got him as my 4th. Tyler Lockett, that is, just because of there's no one there. You know what I mean? That type of deal. But yeah, I do think the efficiency will definitely regress. I'm interested to see how like DK factors and all of that.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Considering, I mean, they got different skill sets, I think, to some degree. You know, Lockett being the smaller receiver, you know, can move around. DK can't run routes to save his life, just really big and fast. So maybe they'll be used differently.
Yeah.
But
See
Calvin
ball,
Ridley,
catch ball.
yeah. Calvin Ridley, though, 24 points in kind of his breakout, 65, 34. And then after that, it just felt like, what he is. He's playing second fiddle to Julio Jones. 10, 12, 27, where he caught a touchdown, 8, 27, 6, 3, 11. I mean, how do we feel about Calvin Ridley? I mean, he's still number 2 to Julio Jones, but, can his consistency improve? I mean, I don't know. How do we feel about him? Is he someone that you would feel comfortable with having as your wide receiver 3?
I mean,
yes. And
I love how we answered that.
Well, I guess that answers the question right there, I guess, doesn't it?
No, I'd feel okay about it. I think he can only get better. Like I've always said, never draft a rookie receiver expecting like AJ Green type numbers that rookie year. Dude, expect them to have like a Calvin Ridley type year and them to develop further from that rookie year. Yeah. I think Calvin Ridley can only get better. I mean, I think he could easily average more like 22 a game, but we got to wait and see.
Yeah. But Julio capped his upside for sure.
Well, another thing I am excited about, well, not as a Buccaneers fan, but as fantasy, Dirk Cutter's back as the offensive coordinator. And you saw last year with how much Tampa Bay threw the ball. I mean, how many receptions Humphreys had, Deshaun Jackson had, Godwin had, O.J. Howard had, Mike Evans had. I mean, all we did was throw the ball because we didn't have a running game. So it's not going to be that much, but you guys should remember back when Dirk Cutter was the offensive coordinator and MVP or Matt Ryan's MVP season. So, I mean, they work very well together, and Calvin Ridley should be the slot guy. So think of like Adam Humphreys type production. I would feel like next year, somewhere along those lines.
Calvin Ridley or Alshon Jeffrey?
Calvin Ridley. That's it.
I'll take Calvin.
Okay, so the upside of Calvin over the age of Jeffrey.
I'll tell you now. Yeah, I've got Calvin 9. I've got Alshon Jeffrey 10.
Okay. That's fair. I think I would take the potential of Calvin Ridley over what I already know in Alshon Jeffrey. One more guy here. I think I've talked a little bit about him on the show. Mike Williams. I love him. Tyrell Williams is gone. I'm not sure how many receptions that was, but Isaac, I think you like him a lot too. He's a red zone threat in an offense that loves to throw the ball. In a very good offense. I feel like he's ascending. He's getting better and better. Come off the injury from a couple years ago in his rookie season. I think he's someone that I would put ahead of Calvin Ridley, Alshon Jeffrey, like those type of guys in my mind.
Yeah. But not by much. I mean, I would it would be Mike Williams, Calvin Ridley, then Alshon Jeffrey in that order for me.
But he's behind guys like Chris Godwin, DJ Moore, like those type of guys.
Because those guys should get more receptions themselves and not have to depend on touchdowns. So they should be more consistent from a week-to-week base and won't have to depend on touchdowns like the other guys will.
Yep. Because Mike Williams, he still got that super talented offense with Melvin Gordon, Hunter Henry, Keenan Allen. So his potential is capped, unlike some of these other guys.
Yeah.
So
I've got him as number 8. So like right there, like you guys were saying with Alshon and Calvin.
Cool. So go ahead, Isaac.
Nah, I was going to say I can't wait for this next part, but I thought you were going to lead into the defensive ends, but no, he wanted to spend more time on the wide receiver.
He's been looking forward to this all
No, that's
day.
okay. We'll go straight into it. Here in the defensive ends, we've got Isaac put 4 in here that he wanted to mention that you guys should consider. Justin Houston, 24.6 points a game. Jadeveon Clowney, 18.7 points a game. Melvin Ingram, 17.5 points a game. And Everson Griffin, 17.3 points a game. All 4 of them are available in both conferences. Isaac, tell us a little bit about them. Who do you like? Who do you don't like? What are your thoughts?
All right. So flashback, think 2017, Melvin Ingram and Everson Griffin were both. I mean, I think Justin Houston was as a linebacker. Both of them were very, very fantasy relevant, top 10 in their positions. So, yes, they had a down year. One, Everson Griffin, Danielle Hunter had a great year. So he took a lot of the points per games away from Everson Griffin, which caused him to be less productive, which was flip flop in 2017. Everson Griffin had more sacks, and Daniel Hunter was irrelevant. So they seemed to be taking turns. So Melvin Ingram, we all know that Joey Bosa didn't play last year, so he was double teamed a lot. So his production went down, but he's still very talented. Clowney, I just thought I would throw in there, just for South Carolina reference, along with Melvin Ingram. So Melvin Ingram and Jadeveon Clowney, shout out. Now back to Justin Houston. Now with the new DN rule, he's averaging 24.6 points per game, and that's more than a lot of defensive ends. So, I mean, do you guys know where he's at now?
He's in Indy, isn't he?
Yep. I really like that situation. We all know Robert Mathis was very successful there as far as the sack master, and then Dwight Freeney towards the end of his career. So, I mean, yeah, I really like some of these guys. Not saying that they should be your first or second round waiver wire pick, but if you guys have spots on your third or fourth round, want to take a gamble, I mean, these guys are definitely worth a look. Just for example, Cam, I told him to get Daniel Hunter in the fourth round last year. It's like, what you got to lose, man? His upside's really high, and then he finished second or third overall defensive end. So, I mean, that was an absolute steal for him in last season's waiver wire. So don't overlook these guys. They can be productive. These guys are well known, well aged. I mean, they can produce. So don't forget about them.
Cool. Any thoughts from you, Pat? Before we move on?
Yeah. There's only 4 guys from 1 to 4. I ranked Justin Houston 1, Melvin Ingram 2, Jadeveon Clowney 3, and Everson Griffin 4. I'm totally with Isaac. I think Justin Houston is an instant guaranteed starter for you at defensive end this year. And if you're looking for a guy in the 4th round, man, take a shot at him, because I guarantee you're going to be happy with him.
Yeah. And if you care about Jameson's draft capital, you should pick all of these guys in the waiver wire and push some of those running backs and receivers into the draft for me. I'd appreciate that.
That's right.
And Isaac, because he doesn't have any waiver wire picks either.
Thanks.
Push some of those guys to us. All right, cool. Well, 2 more positional segments here. Linebackers, there's not a whole lot. And most of these guys finished above the top 200, so they'll actually be in the draft or they were kept. So we'll kind of run through this short list here. Christian Kirksey, 27 points a game, available in both conferences. All 5 of these guys are available in both conferences. Preston Brown, 24.9 points a game. Darren Lee, 24.2 points a game. Shaq Thompson, 21.8 points a game. And then Mark Barron at 19.8 points a game. So, guys, who do we want to start with? I see Preston Brown highlighted. Isaac, was that you? Do you want to take the lead here?
I'll let Pat talk about Shaq Thompson, because I know he's been itching for it for a couple weeks now. He's been trying to squeeze it into one of our show docs before, and we're like, no, it's not really relevant. Well, now's your time to shine, Pat. Go.
Yeah, no. And don't get me wrong, I'm a diehard Panther fan, but I'm not an idiot. I don't have Shaq rated number 1 on this list. I actually have number 3 out of all these linebackers, but I am super excited about him. I'm just hoping he'll fall to me either. I don't know exactly when I'll get him, but dude, Carolina is a 3-4 defense. If you didn't know that, man, you've been living under a rock, or you're just not a Panther fan probably. But Shaq Thompson is a middle linebacker now. Like, it's official. He is right beside Luke Kuechly in that defense. And if you ask me, man, Shaq can cover the field a lot quicker than Luke can. And I love that kind of potential for getting tackles, tipped balls, maybe a turnover or something like that, kind of a fluke play. But I'm telling you, Shaq is naturally going to be able to step in there and explode from just over 21 points a game to more of like that 28 points a game type deal. And I really love him as a great backup linebacker.
Well, you feel better, Pat? Got off your
Yeah,
chest?
yeah.
No, I agree with that though.
Dude, feel good.
I agree with that. I like Shaq Thompson as a depth piece. So a guy to take a late shot on. So Isaac, what about Preston Smith? I know you want to talk about him a little bit.
Well, it's Preston Brown, but
Oh, Preston Brown. Oh, sorry. My bad. I was looking at the wrong guy.
He's kind of been underrated past couple seasons. Well, he was picked up. He wasn't drafted last year. I remember everybody was kind of rushing to pick him up, me including being one of them. He'll have his good games and he'll have his bad games, but he still averages a pretty good amount. Like you said, right at 25 points a game. And with a big question mark on the Bengals linebackers, Vontaze Burfict is gone. Yes, they got the rookie. What's that guy's name? What's that?
Jermaine Pratt.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Faster than I can click. So yeah, Jermaine Pratt, and then we got Nick Vigil. So he's going to be competing with these guys, trying to figure out where they're going to start. So I mean, I feel like Pat. Do you feel like he's been underrated, or is it just me?
No, dude, I agree with you. I actually got Preston Brown as my number one linebacker in the waiver wire. Like, he's a dude that you literally should be looking at in both conferences. And I could easily see him being worth that first round waiver wire pick on either side. I'm telling you, man, he's going to have a good year in Cincinnati.
Okay, so it wasn't just me. Okay, that feels better.
No, I'm right there with you, man. Like 24.9 points a game last year. I think that gets closer to 30.
Yeah, because like I said, there was no Bengals linebackers last year that finished, but they all had injuries. They were all rotating or suspended with Burfict. So maybe if he can maintain a full season being healthy, yeah, I mean, he will be a really good linebacker for sure.
Can I say? Are we all on board with Darren Lee being one of the worst choices here? Do we all dislike Darren Lee?
I have him dead last.
Okay, all right, good.
I got him fifth.
Not just me then.
Well,
he's listed as the backup outside linebacker. Like, how did he end up on our list?
No, he's not. He's competing with Reggie Ragland for the middle linebacker because the Chiefs switched to a 4-3 this year. So
I don't know.
Ugh.
That's what when they traded and got him, they're supposed to be competing for that middle linebacker, and then they moved Anthony Hitchens to right outside linebacker.
I'm not excited about him.
I'm not.
So here's his numbers. He averaged 24.2 points a game, but the games he played in, 65 and 43. So 2 great games. Outside of that, 10, 22, 20, 18, 11, 12, 18, 20, and 20. Nothing above 22 in 8 games.
What about the year before?
I'd have to go pull up all the 2017 stats. I don't have them in front of me.
Well, give me 1 second. Stall for about 30 seconds. Because I'm telling you, he was fantasy relevant the year before.
How old is? I mean,
he's young.
No, he is young. I'm just not super. I mean, I know he's a first round pick and everything too, but I haven't been impressed. He only had 67 tackles in 2017.
While we're waiting on that,
here we are. I got it.
Okay, you got it.
He averaged 25 points a game, which is in the same situation as Preston Brown, and he was splitting tackles. 45, 24, 8, 22, 22, 35, 52, 23, 34, 14, 28, 18, 24, 24. 6. I think he didn't play that game. But, yeah. So he's going to be around a 24 to 26 guy as in a 3-4. Now he's going to be in a 4-3 potentially if he wins a battle. So I could see him being like a 27, 28 point guy, which would make him fantasy relevant. Should you take a gamble on him over all these other guys we've mentioned and all these other positions? No. But I thought he would be worth mentioning, a guy to keep an eye on after the waiver wire, just to see, give you a little sneak peek of what you could see if he wins that starting job.
And just keep your eye on him. Points per game don't tell the whole story, as we just talked about. With how you can have 2 big games and then 8 games of everything less than 20 points. But yeah, I mean, he's worth looking at late, especially if he wins that job. So But he's still number
on the
5
Chiefs,
I'll tell you
on my
which
list.
is going to be always trying to,
real quick my ranking for linebackers. I got Preston Brown 1, Christian Kirksey 2, Shaq Thompson 3, Mark Barron 4, and Darren Lee 5. I really love Christian Kirksey's
Yep.
position. Actually, he's basically, dude, they're going to have 2 linebackers in the field, and that's it.
Yep.
And Christian Kirksey is one of them. I love that, man. I'm super excited to see what that does. My biggest concern is his health, because he does have, that track record of getting hurt and everything. But I'm super excited to see what he can do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of track record about getting hurt, all these DBs, I swear, have been hurt multiple times in the past 2 years. Is it just? I mean,
Yeah.
No, well, that's why they're here. They all play pretty well when they're in the games. Evident by their points per game: 37 by Earl Thomas, 34.2 by Clayton Geathers, 32.7 by Marcus May, 29.3 by Justin Evans, 25 Eric Berry, 20 Eric Whittle. But yeah, they can't stay on the field. Clayton Geathers has the knee injury. Earl Thomas broke his leg and then flipped off Seattle. Marcus May had some injuries. Justin Evans, Eric Berry had the Achilles and didn't even play the last 2 years, right? Has it been 2 seasons he hasn't played?
it's like a season and a half.
Season and a half.
I think so.
So yeah, I mean, these guys have been hurt, but that's what gives them value. You're hurt until you're not hurt. If you get a guy late in the waiver wire and he comes back and he plays healthy, he plays 14, 15, 16 games, you get a lot of good value out of him. So Earl Thomas has the most points per game here, but we don't really feel like he's the number 1 DB that should be taken.
Hell no.
Nope.
Yeah.
This was
Hell
so
no.
inflated because he had those 3 or 4 boom games back to back to back, and he didn't have time to do any bad games before he broke his leg. So it's so inflated.
Yeah. And this is why it's important to look past, just the average and stuff. But no, yeah, you're right. It was incredibly high. Not anyone that I think we're targeting super high, maybe a late depth piece, just given that he is in Baltimore, and I love that part. But how old is he now? 31?
I could tell you in 1 second.
Well-
I was actually looking him up.
You're excited he's in Baltimore, man. Dude, I read an article today that he was quoted as saying that how much more complex the defense is in Baltimore. Dude, I'm worried guy might not be able to comprehend everything they're
he's
doing
30.
over there, man. I mean,
Yeah, so he's 30 with injuries.
He
And
averaged 31 points a game last year.
I thought it was 37.
No, I mean
Forgot
2017.
Oh, 2017.
31.
2017. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah,
But
so we have him below guys like Clayton Geathers, I think. I do. I see you guys do too.
oh yes.
Clayton Geathers.
Oh
yes. Go ahead, Isaac.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say Clayton Geathers is someone that I've looked at for a couple of years now. He is the epitome of injured. He can never stay on the field. But when he is on the field, first 4 games last year, Patrick, you know this better than anybody, 47, 44, 64, 35.
Yep.
Week 10, 40 points. Week 14, 42 points, 36 points. He's a guy who consistently is getting 6, 7 tackles in a game. Unfortunately, those tackles are breaking his neck, but he's getting a lot of tackles when he's there. He's my number 1 safety. Even if you get 14 games out of him
Same here.
in the 4th round of the waiver wire, that's a lot of value.
All right. So what I was going to go back and say was with Earl Thomas, he's talking about how he's excited about him being in Baltimore. Well, Eric Weddle was in the same position and, only averaged 20.5 points per game. So it's like.
What about 2017, though?
Oh, give me 1 second.
Because everyone was down in 2018, and that was because Baltimore had the fewest defensive snaps out of every team in the league because they had the highest 3-and-out percentage, and everyone was down. Tony Jefferson had a down year. CJ Mosley had a down year.
He had the same. Tony Jefferson did.
Tony Jefferson I thought he dropped over 2017.
I think it was the same. They averaged 27 points a game. He's a 27 points per game type of guy. That's just where he's going to be. He's not going to give you anything more or less. Now, I cannot find.
I know a lot of those guys had down years.
Oh, there.
Eric Weddle had a much better 17 than he had 18.
All right, let's see. 2017, he averaged 27 points a game.
Yeah.
So
7 points higher. What is that? 40%? higher than it was in 2018?
What?
That's significantly higher.
That's. I don't think that's 40.
35%?
Yeah, it's more towards
Maybe not quite
towards
40.
your 30.
I'm just doing it.
But
Yeah,
1,000%.
35% increase. I mean, that's significantly higher though over it was in 2018.
yeah, but if you average the two together, it's not nothing to really write home or be excited about. But
compared to Eric Berry or some of the other safeties, yeah. I mean, I'd be excited to have him late. A fourth DB. You wouldn't want Earl Thomas as a fourth DB if all these other guys were gone?
not with the history of free safeties in Baltimore. No, I would take somebody else. Yes, his name's big, but if you look at the history of what free safeties like, it's nothing that excites me. I'd rather take a gamble on Marcus May or Justin Evans.
Well, I mean, I said if these guys are gone.
Marcus
That's what
May
I said.
My number 2.
Yeah. If these guys are gone.
I've got Earl Thomas as 4. So if you're saying, would I take him number 4 out of these DBs? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would.
Oh, yeah. It's Clayton Gathers. Justin Evans to me, only because I got Jamal Adams, but Marcus May if I didn't have Jamal Adams.
Same here. I feel like Justin Evans is the second overall guy on this.
And then
I Marcus May a little bit more, and I got Justin right behind him.
Yeah. And then Earl Thomas, and then Weddle, and then Berry. For all of us, I think. Yeah.
That's the exact order I got.
Yeah. So it's all relative. I like Earl Thomas relative to what I think his value could be if you got him late, but not relative to, Marcus May or Clay or some of these other guys that are in the draft, Adrian Amos or Harrison Smith. Obviously, he wouldn't compete with any of those guys.
Malcolm Jenkins.
Yeah. So it's all relative. When I say I like a guy, it doesn't mean go pick him up in the first round or anything. If you guys don't have those thoughts. But yeah, I think DBs will probably not be picked. I think it's mostly going to be offensive heavy, running backs and wide receivers in the waiver wire.
Yeah, same as last year.
Yeah, same as last
year.
Pretty
much.
Yep.
But a lot less activity because we did so many spots are filled up now.
Yeah, which means a lot of those guys we mentioned were there 33 players on there. So almost 20 of them are going to fall into our draft. And then I think there's 18 or 19 waiver wire picks in the other conference, something like that. So,
I think that's
right. Some of those guys will be in the draft for sure.
Let me ask you something real quick. Who do you have as your top 2 IDP players in the waiver wire this year?
In the waiver wire?
That we just mentioned.
Like defensive players?
That we just mentioned, yeah. IDP.
Clayton Gathers and Christian Kirksey.
Clayton Gathers. I would do Clayton
who?
Gathers and Justin Evans.
Yeah, I've got Marcus May, Clayton Gathers in my top 2.
He said Christian Kirksey is his.
Yeah. Well,
okay. I mean, I could see
only because
that,
of the makeup of my roster. I've got 3 DBs already that are top 15 guys. I would like to have a linebacker to put depth. But I mean, are we talking about just straight up scoring, like the 2 guys that'll score the most points?
Yeah, I'm just talking like if you were to advise like our listeners right now, who are the 2 IDP players they need to be highly considering getting.
The 2 highest scoring people will be Clayton Gathers and Marcus May, but it's close between him and Justin Evans. But it's just a preference based on how your roster is constructed. But I've got Gathers and May as the 2 highest scorers on the defense.
See, I think Evans is going to get a little bump up since the switch to 3-4 like Carolina's doing. So, 3-4 free safeties usually do pretty solid when they're in the middle tier. The top tier ones, nothing to write home about. But usually the middle tier guys like Justin Evans is going to, they're usually pretty solid.
And that comes from our trends that we've been looking through, I think. Doesn't it, Isaac? All of our data that we've been piling through this offseason, which we'll be able to talk to you guys about in a few months. Really quickly, some honorable mentions. I kind of stole this from Patrick, what he does with all of his lists. Really, we're not going to talk about them in detail unless you guys wanted to something real quick. But 4 guys that I wrote that just popped into my head that I think you should pay attention to. Probably not on the waiver wire, but maybe late in the draft. Deshaun Jackson, a boomer bust receiver with a quarterback that likes to go deep. Alshon Jeffrey, we just talked about him. We don't love him. He's a guy that, if you need a big play, you could plug him in. Ronnie Harrison, the new starting strong safety in Jacksonville, one of the best defenses in football. Usually have, fairly well IDP scoring people there. So I think, if you are having a tough time finding a starter, you could look at him. And then 2 very unpopular running backs, Darius Guys. I don't think he should be picked up, but I was talking to someone, I'm not going to say who, that said they were considering picking him on the waiver wire.
Cam,
Do not freaking pick him on the waiver wire. There's 4 running
Cam.
backs on that team. Darius Guys won't even catch passes because Chris Thompson's going to do that. Adrian Peterson could take Darius Guys' job. Do not pick him up. Is he even running yet? I don't even know if he's running
I don't know,
yet.
man. Every running back we mentioned is better than Guys.
Yes.
Every running back we've mentioned in this show, please consider before you take Guys. And that goes across both conferences.
Cam, Williams should be your guy. I don't know why you're trying to get Guys, but if you get Guys and it doesn't work, we get to laugh at you. So that works.
And then really quickly, and this is kind of a late draft guy, not necessarily a waiver wire guy. Rashad Penny, 150 carries, freed up by Mike Davis is gone. Chris Carson had knee surgery this offseason, and he's still isn't practicing, so he's still kind of healing. Rashad Penny's getting all of the carries with the first team. They said he looks really good. I don't think a whole lot could come out of it right now, but you never know. Keep him kind of on the back of your mind.
I read an article that Pete Carroll said that Chris Carson was in the best shape out of any person on the Seattle Seahawks team.
Yeah, I read that too. And then I went, how does he know that? He's not even running yet.
I think he's just
Maybe this is how bad they are.
Looking at his abs or something. I don't know.
But if there's one coach in the NFL,
checking him out in the shower.
If there's one coach in the NFL, I don't listen to the hype. It's Pete Carroll, because he does this all the time with everybody. Every guy that he brings in. I love this guy. Looks better than everybody. And then, it either does or doesn't happen. So, but yeah, real quickly, guys, as we promised, we've got a quick sound bite here from Cameron. Patrick did a press conference with him. Here's his thoughts on the waiver wire, his strategy or lack thereof. So we'll play this for you, and then we'll let you go.
In the past 2 seasons, you've acquired a running back with your first-round waiver wire pick, Marshawn Lynch in 2017 and Joe Mixon in 2018. And pretty much everyone here in the LCC network has you going a similar route in kind of our mock waiver wire draft, if you will. Should we expect anything different this season?
I'm not going to answer that question. I'm going to leave it up in the air, and then I'm just going to make a huge surprise on waiver wire day. But the players that I do pick, they're going to benefit me for this year, no doubt. And it'll just be the start of this championship run.
Well, there you go, guys. A big middle finger to you about who to expect Cameron to pick.
I could tell your ass right now, if you pick Guys, you are not making.
Yeah,
that's not going to help.
That's true. That's true. Oh man, I was cracking up when I heard that. He's like, "I'm not going to tell you that." I was just cracking up.
That was perfect. That was like, I'm trying to remember. I think of a coach that kind of reminded me of in a press conference. Like maybe like a Bill Belichick type deal, or you know what I mean. They give you those kind of answers.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
That would have been perfect. So that's Cameron's strategy, or what he's willing to tell you about his strategy heading into the waiver wire. We're super excited, guys. We cannot wait. I'm not going to participate, but I can't wait to watch what's going to happen, what's going to unfold. I wish I could participate.
I can't wait to sit and watch you guys.
Well, Isaac, you can sit with me, buddy. We'll
real quick, since
I'm going to be in Puerto Rico, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
What, Pat?
Oh, man. All right. Let me ask you guys something real quick. Do you consider this year's waiver wire, the town in this year's pool, as good, better, or worse than 2018's?
I think it's a little worse, just because there were so many guys who were waiver wire eligible that were kept on taxi squads because they were traded this year, or that were kept in the waiver wire because they didn't have to keep guys that they traded. If that makes sense.
I mean, just think: Andrew Luck and Patrick Mahomes were in the thing last year. Danielle Hunter, Joe Mixon. Zach Ertz.
Juju Smith-Schuster was on the waiver wire last year.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Just those guys alone beat everybody that's on the list that we just talked about.
But the value will be good for people who are picking in the 4th round because there's not a lot of people picking ahead of them. So if that's what you're getting at, I think the value is going to be really good for what you can get relative to what you're spending.
I think
will
just
say
what happened.
okay, real quick. I will.
All right.
Pat, I will say that the defensive players this year are a little bit better than last year.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
offensive players are reversed.
Well, I just think the talent pool has shifted. Last year, way better receiving / tight end core. This year, I think there's a better overall. If we're talking about overall talent, better talent at running back this year, and much better talent on the defensive side of the ball. So I just think it's been a shift. Is what it is. Like we're, especially in the Elite 12, we've been doing the off-season waiver wire since 2017. So this is kind of like our third year of going through these motions. I just think we're seeing a different shift in where the talent is this year. And I think that's what's kind of throwing some people off.
That's fair. That's a fair statement. I would agree with that. What we've seen.
So I think defense across the board this year is better than the previous year for sure.
Yeah.
At all three positions.
I agree. That's fair.
Yeah. I picked up Avery Williamson, who averaged 30 points a game last year in the waiver wire.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another. Daniel Hunter was a top 3 defensive end.
Joey Bosa 2 years ago. J.J. Watt last year. They were both on the waiver wire.
Wasn't in there last year.
Yeah, he was.
JJ was back-to-back years off the waiver wire. You got him, Jameson, in the first round.
I got him in the first year.
Bust.
Yeah.
I mean, he was 2017, but I could have swore he wasn't in last year's. He was capped, wasn't he?
No, he came off the. Wait, did Billy keep him?
Billy
It's a late pick because I know he got injured in like week 4.
I had the second overall waiver wire selection, and I would have picked up J.J. Watt, but he wasn't there. That's what I'm saying.
Well, good thing you didn't. Good thing he wasn't there then.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Zach Ertz turned out.
Yeah, I guess it worked out. I think he was a waiver wire pick in the other conference though, because I think Daquan got him, didn't he?
Yeah, I think Daquan.
Or am I thinking a year back?
Overall pick or first round at least.
You picked him in 2017, and you got burned.
Yeah, I did in 2017. Yeah.
And then Pat picked up Joey Bosa.
Yep, that was the better deal for sure.
And I picked up Carl Joseph back when he was good.
Carl Joseph. Listen to all of our busts that we picked in the waiver wire 2 years ago, except for Joey Bosa. That was a good pick.
And then Maria
Keenan
Allen. Dear God.
Yeah, I wanted to fall to me. I should have picked him in the first round. That was stupid.
That was nuts.
We know better now, don't we? We've learned a lot in the last 2 years. All right, guys. Well, that's it. We are done. We will be back. Well, I like to say next week, but that seems so far out from when we're actually recording this that I'm not even sure what we got going on that episode. Honestly, I think it's a rankings. I think it's a rankings episode. I think we're going to go into offensive rankings.
Is it not? We have to finish the 4 LCC stuff.
Yes.
Fantasy
no. Well, those are just throughout the off season. Those aren't necessarily like, back to back to back to back. Anyway, all right, guys. We are out. We will see you. We'll see you soon. Enjoy the waiver wire. Can't wait to watch.